The hunt didn't begin with gunfire. It began with a phone call. The night before dawn, my phone vibrated in the dark. On the other end was Enzo, his voice low, urgent, almost electric. He had found something unusual. Not tracks, not signs, an entire territory. A forgotten stretch of land where wild boars didn't just pass through, they ruled. By sunrise, we were already moving. The terrain was brutal, wide, uneven, and deceptively quiet. For hours, we followed nothing but broken soil, crushed grass, and deep, chaotic footprints carved into the earth. Every sign told the same story. This wasn't a small group. This was a stronghold. The dogs sensed it long before we did. Their posture changed. Tails stiffened. Breathing slowed. Noses pressed low to the ground. They weren't tracking anymore. They were confirming. Somewhere ahead, the land was alive. About 150 meters away, the ground dipped into a narrow valley. Tall grass swayed unnaturally. Dense bushes formed a natural wall. The air felt heavy. That was when Enzo stopped walking. "That's it," he whispered. "The lair." This valley wasn't just cover. It was protection, a place designed by nature for ambush. And if we stepped in wrong, we wouldn't be the hunters, we'd be the targets. The dogs were released. Instantly, the silence shattered. Leaves exploded. Bushes trembled. Low, guttural sounds echoed from inside the grass. Deep, angry, territorial. The first wild boar burst into cover like a living tank. Muscles rippling, eyes locked forward. My heart slammed against my chest. The rifle was already up. The dogs did what they were trained to do. Circle, harass, exhaust. They never attacked blindly. They pressured. They forced movement. They drained strength. The boar charged once, twice, then slowed. That was the moment. One controlled breath. One steady aim. One shot. The massive body collapsed into the grass. But there was no time to celebrate. Another shape emerged. Then another. Wild boars don't retreat when threatened. They respond with violence. And the deeper we moved, the more aggressive they became. Every rustle felt like an incoming attack. Every shadow could explode into motion. Adrenaline replaced fear. A sudden grunt erupted from the bushes. Close. Too close. A larger boar burst forward. Tusks visible, fur thick and dark like armor. I fired. The shot hit, but instead of stopping, it enraged it. It charged. Instinct took over. Multiple shots rang out. Dust, noise, chaos. The animal dropped just meters away. That was when it hit me. This wasn't just a hunt. This was a war zone. And it was only the beginning. We barely had time to reload before the land itself seemed to awaken. The dogs froze again, ears forward, bodies tense. This wasn't a single target anymore. This was movement on a scale that made the ground vibrate. From beyond the valley, deep thudding sounds rolled toward us, like distant thunder crawling closer with every second. Then we saw them. Not one, not two, a herd. Dark bodies surged through the tall grass. Dozens of wild boars pouring downhill in a chaotic wave. Dust exploded into the air, blinding and suffocating. Their grunts overlapped into a terrifying chorus, raw, violent, unstoppable. We split instantly. No signals, no shouting. Everyone knew their role. The dogs charged first, darting in and out, forcing the herd to break formation. A moving wall became scattered missiles. That was our only chance. A single mistake here meant being trampled. Shots rang out. One boar went down, sliding across the dirt. Another stumbled but kept running. Fueled by pure instinct. These animals don't stop when wounded. Pain only makes them faster, more reckless. I repositioned, heart racing, eyes scanning constantly. From the corner of my vision, a massive boar burst from behind a bush, closer than expected. Thick neck, scar hide, old and experienced. This one knew how to fight. I fired. The bullet hit, but it kept coming. For a split second, time slowed. I could hear my own breathing. The dog barking, the thunder of hooves closing in. I fired again. The boar veered, crashed into the dirt, and rolled to stop just meters away. No relief, no pause. Another group broke through the trees. We pushed forward, chasing the fleeing herd uphill. The terrain turned brutal. Loose soil, sharp rocks, uneven slopes. Every step threatened to fall, but stopping was an option. The dogs led the way, their barking echoing through the hills like a warning siren. Suddenly, chaos erupted again. More than 10 wild boars burst from behind the ridge, racing downhill directly toward us. Felix moved fast, sliding into position, steadying his aim under pressure. One precise shot dropped the lead boar instantly, sending the rest scattering in panic. The hill came alive with movement. We jumped from the vehicle, weapons raised. A boar sprinted past a pine tree, trying to escape. One shot ended its run, the body tumbling into the brush below. But the hunt refused to slow. As we climbed higher, shadows multiplied. Black shapes darted between trees. The dog circled wildly, barking nonstop. Then it happened, the worst possible scenario. A mass charge. Over a dozen wild boars surged uphill at once. Gunfire erupted in rapid bursts. Dust clouds swallowed the scene. The earth shook beneath our boots. Screams, animal and human, merged into chaos. When the dust settled, several bodies lay still. The rest vanished into the forest. Silence returned, but it felt temporary, fragile. We stood there, exhausted, weapons lowered, knowing one thing for certain. This land was far from cleared, and the most dangerous boars were still out there. The forest didn't feel empty after the gunfire faded. It felt watchful. Smoke hung low between the trees, mixing with dust and the sharp scent of earth torn apart by hooves. Every step forward felt heavier than the last, not because of exhaustion, but because we knew something was still out there. The dogs knew it too. Their barking changed. Slower, deeper, focused. This wasn't a fleeing herd anymore. This was a holdout. Fresh tracks cut sharply toward the rocky slopes ahead. Deep, wide, heavy. These weren't juveniles or panic runners. These were mature boars, territorial, aggressive, and experienced enough to stand their ground. We followed in silence. The climb was brutal. Loose stones slid under our boots, sending echoes down the hillside. The wind shifted constantly, threatening to give away our position. Every few meters, we stopped, listening, breathing, waiting. Then movement. A massive shape emerged between the rocks. The alpha, scarred shoulders, thick neck like a tree trunk, tusks curved and chipped from years of combat. This boar didn't run. It turned toward us slowly, deliberately, as if measuring the threat. The dogs circled, barking violently, but keeping distance. Even they knew one wrong move here could be fatal. I steadied my weapon. The alpha charged. There was no warning scream, no hesitation, just raw force exploding downhill. The ground shook as it closed the distance faster than expected. Adrenaline flooded everything. Training took over. One shot. Miss. The boar kept coming. Second shot. Hit. Still charging. At the last possible moment, the third shot landed true. The massive body slid across the rock face and collapsed just meters away, dust billowing around it like a final breath. For a moment, no one moved. Then the forest erupted again, as if triggered by the fall of their leader. The remaining boars burst from hiding. 2 from the left, 1 from behind. Another charging downhill toward the dogs. Chaos returned instantly. We split again. A boar raced across the slope, zigzagging through brush. I tracked it, waited for the opening, and fired. It dropped mid-stride, momentum carrying it forward before stillness claimed it. Shots echoed from below. Another boar tried to break through the perimeter, blocked instantly. 1 clean hit. Down. But they kept coming. A final pair emerged together, running flat out across the hillside. No cover, no hesitation. I lined up, adjusted the distance, and fired twice. Both fell. Silence followed, but this time it was different. The dogs slowed. Their barking faded into short, controlled growls. No more movement. No more tracks crossing fresh soil. We stood there as the sun dipped lower, shadows stretching across a battlefield carved by desperation and survival. Sweat ran into our eyes. Hands shook, not from fear, but release. This wasn't celebration. It was resolution. These hunts are never about glory. They're about responsibility, about protecting land, crops, livestock, and people who live alongside a forest that doesn't understand boundaries. Wild boars don't stop on their own. Balance has to be enforced. As we descended the hill, exhaustion finally caught up with us. Boots heavy, muscles burning. But behind us, the land was quiet again. Fields would survive another season. Homes would remain untouched through the night. We loaded our gear in silence. No words were needed, because every one of us understood we hadn't just finished a hunt. We had ended a war. For now,